Life in this village is defined by dust and cracked mud. For a boy named Arav, the day usually means waking up early in a small house made of clay and tin, fetching water, and working the dry fields until the sun goes down. There is a sharp contrast between the torn slippers on his feet and the sheer size of the ideas living inside his head. His environment offers very little, but his imagination demands the entire sky. Every night, when the village finally goes quiet, he climbs onto his roof and looks up. He pictures himself in a bright costume, flying between the stars, saving people, a textbook, cape-wearing superhero. It is a common human reflex. When the physical world strictly denies a person agency, the mind compensates by building a reality where those physical limits simply do not exist. The village, of course, notices his daydreaming, and their response is immediate, dismissive laughter.
This chart breaks down a cultural bias we all share, the myth of the hero. We are conditioned to believe that greatness requires a specific origin. We assume saviors need supernatural abilities, billions of dollars, or at least an urban skyline. The rural, unpowered citizen is statistically written out of the equation. They tell Arav directly that heroes are born in cities, not in dust. This collective mockery acts as a social weight, designed to keep him in his place and remind him of his insignificance. When a community mocks a dreamer, they build a wall between that individual and their own capability. By defining greatness as something distant and impossible, they discourage anyone nearby from even attempting to help. Then, without warning, the environment turns hostile. A violent storm slams into the village, instantly transforming familiar mud roads into an active hazard zone. Down by the swelling river, a small hut begins to buckle under the wind. Inside, a young child is trapped, entirely isolated as the structure threatens to collapse. The adult villagers witness this, but their bodies simply stop working. The overwhelming sensory overload of screaming wind and crashing trees triggers fear paralysis. The entire community freezes in place. This is exactly the moment where a savior is supposed to drop from the sky. But in reality, there is no signal in the clouds. No billionaire in a specialized suit is coming to a dusty village in the middle of a storm. When sudden, chaotic danger strikes, the habit of waiting for an external, perfect protector becomes a fatal vulnerability. If a community delegates its courage to a myth, it finds itself entirely defenseless when the myth fails to show up. Out of that frozen crowd, a single figure breaks the paralysis. Arav runs straight into the driving rain, stepping into the vacuum of leadership. He has no specialized training. He has no protective gear or superhuman strength to rely on. Every inch of ground he gains is paid for entirely with raw, unfiltered willpower. The mechanics of this rescue are brutal. He crawls through thick mud, tearing his hands open on broken timber as he physically forces his own body between the falling debris and the trapped child. Courage manifests as a physical action taken while completely exposed to harm. Doing the work while vulnerable proves that invincibility was never the point. As quickly as it arrived, the violent weather breaks. The rain stops, and the heavy chaos is replaced by a sudden, total calm. The villagers, who had spent months laughing at the boy with torn slippers, look toward the ruins of the hut. There is no mockery left in them. There is only a profound, heavy silence. They see Arav standing there. He is shaking. He is covered in mud and blood, but he is standing tall, with the child safe beside him. That undeniable visual evidence forces the village to confront their own flawed ideas about who is capable of greatness. Genuine authority cannot be inherited from a city skyline or a bank account. It has to be earned in the dirt, through unprompted, undeniable sacrifice when it actually counts. Later that evening, the village is quiet again. Arav climbs back up onto his tin roof to look out over the dry fields and up at the sky, just like he always does. But the nature of his dreaming has shifted. He no longer imagines a bright costume or the ability to fly, because he understands now that the fantasy of magical powers is entirely unnecessary.
The capability he was looking for outside of himself was already in his chest. Pure agency, the simple, decisive willingness to step forward while everyone else is frozen, is the only actual prerequisite. A child in a clay house has the same capacity to act as anyone else. Influence belongs to whoever decides to step forward first.